Today I want to show you Vertex AI, which is machine learning on the Google Cloud platform. And we're going to run through a tutorial which will show you how to build what's called a binary classification model from tabular data, using Google's machine learning technology. So we're going to use this data set here, which looks like this, just comma-separated values of the age of a person, what job they have, their marital status, education, and so on down the line. And what we're going to try to do is predict whether or not in this last column, if a comma 2 is going to exist based on the other data that's here. So it's going to look at, age, what job they have, are they married or not, what education level do they have, things like that, and sort of to predict, are they going to make a deposit or not, or a comma 1 or a comma 2 in this last column. So that's essentially what we're going to do in this demonstration and tutorial. So what we're doing here is training a model to predict whether a bank client will buy a term deposit. So it's a type of investment using the information about their age, their income, their profession. So they're trying to help a bank determine who to focus their marketing resources on. So they're wanting to know, is a particular client going to buy something that the bank is selling? So this open source data CSV file, this bank marketing data set is in the open source. So this is cleaned data, no real people here. All the real names are taken out. So let's see what this looks like. The first thing you have to do is put everything in one place. You want to organize your resources into a project and collect it. It's the way to organize all of the resources for a single application into one place. So we've got our project set up already. And we've enabled the APIs for the AutoML, the auto machine learning model. And we got the Vertex AI APIs turned on already. So let's look at data sets. And you can see that I have a tabular data set here already, but I'm going to walk through how I set that up. So we're just going to create another one. So we'll click on Create. And we'll just use the default data set name. And then the type of data is tabular. So we're going to predict a target column's value. Like I said before, when we looked at this data set, this comma 1 at the end of the line is whether or not deposit is a 1 or a 2, and basically tells the bank marketing department whether or not, if you were to add a new line of data, would it be a comma 1 or a comma 2 is kind of the way of thinking of it. That's what we're going to do, is sort of predict the outcome with this trained model. So we select tabular, and we're going to select regression classification to predict a target column's value. And we can have hundreds of columns and millions of rows, but in this case we only have it's a 3.5 meg file with probably 50,000 rows, so real small data set. So we will go to the next step here, which is to create. And then we source the data set. So we are going to select it from cloud storage. And in this particular case, we are just going to put in the path of where the file is. So it's a CSV file. It's in this particular Google storage location. And the file is called bank-marketing.csv. So it picked up that file already, and it gave us a link to it, and it says there's 17 columns: age, balance, campaign, contact day, all this kind of stuff, which is, again, what we saw in the first row here in the file. And we can generate statistics on this. This shouldn't take too long. we can view the number of missing or null values in the data set. This shouldn't take too long because it's such a small data set, and there should not be any null values in here because this is a correctly formatted data set coming from that open source data set as part of this tutorial. So we can kind of bypass this, but this will come back with no nulls, no missing values. You're basically cleansing the data or checking the data before you're analyzing it before you actually do any of the training or any of the modeling. So we'll go ahead and skip past this for now. And actually, I don't think we can skip past this until the statistics are done, so we'll just wait for this to complete. Okay, so the statistics are now generated, and like I was saying before, we don't have any missing value because this is clean data, but it tells us what the distinct values are. The balance should be distinct because everybody has a different balance in their account. Age, pretty distinct, and all these other values here. So it's what you would expect. So let's go ahead and continue here by training a new model. So we have to specify an objective, and for now we're just going to choose classification, and we're going to use AutoML, and we're not going to do any custom training, but we could use XGBoost, scikit-learn, or some of these other pre-built containers, but we're just going to use AutoML. So we'll continue here. And the target column is deposit because that's the one that we're trying to figure out, are they going to deposit or not? We could export the data to BigQuery, but we're not going to do that. So we'll go ahead and, because what we're doing on that target column is we're training the model to predict the deposit. So if the deposit is 2, then the client purchased. If the deposit is 1, the client did not purchase. So this is the historical data. We're trying to predict if a future client will purchase based on the historical data. So that's what we're doing here. So we'll click on continue. That's our target. It's now in blue. There's only 2 distinct values. It's either a 1 or a 2, so that makes sense. And let's go ahead and continue. And now we want to basically, how much money do we want to spend? How quickly do we want this to complete is basically what this. So we're going to put in just one node hour and click on Start Training. So it started training, and I'll be emailed when it's complete. This could take quite a while. So once I get the email, I'll show you what the model looks like. So it's basically, once again, just to summarize, Vertex here is going to examine the source data and infer how it's going to use that in the model training. So we reviewed the column data types to verify that they were interpreted correctly and that there were no nulls or anything like that, because if you have those kinds of things here, it's going to throw off your training. So you want to make sure that's right. So now the model's being trained. It can take a while, maybe about an hour or more to complete, and then I'll get that email, and then we'll take a look at that once that comes in. Thanks for watching.